Ready?
No.
Oh, I forgot I had my other shirt on top.
Oh dear. You're the admin now.
She's good.
Sorry.
Okay, we'll let it go this time.
I switched shirts for a half hour.
Oh, is it gonna start anytime soon?
And we are live.
Okay,
Alrighty.
perfect.
Supposed to be live. I'm not seeing it on the screen yet, but it says we're going. Okay, I'm gonna pretend we're going. Welcome to the GSFE Admins Podcast. We're a podcast by and for Google for Education admins. My name is Lance Lennon. I'm the Technology Director for the Eagle Grove Community School District.
Phil Trimble, IT Director for Pocahontas Area Community School District.
Chad Frerichs, Director of Innovation and Technology for the Spirit Lake Community School District.
Karl Hehr, Director of Technology, Ames Community Schools.
Alright,
So
so
weird that none of us have the same title. Is that weird?
we all have
like
different
your
jobs.
title's cooler than mine.
Incredibly different jobs.
Is your business card like a foot long?
Not my business card.
Okay.
Sorry, took me there.
He's not real quick. All right, so I don't see that. I see that we're not streaming right now. I don't know why, and I don't care. So we're gonna just go ahead
So we're
and
not
keep
live?
going.
It's a
No,
test
it
run.
says we're going. I just don't see it. So on the
Probably my Wi-Fi.
community, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, but we're gonna let it go.
All right.
So anyways, I do want to say thank you to our sponsor, GoGuardian, for the mobile podcasting kit. Anytime we're out doing a live recording, we do say thank you. They donated the microphones, the mixer board, and so thank you very much to them. We'll start off with the podcast like we normally do. Anything new that you guys have found? We're at the iTech conference here in Des Moines, Iowa, the 2017 iTech Fall Conference. We do have a bit of an audience here. I'm going to go ahead and switch cams so that everybody out there in the world that isn't watching because we're not streaming can see. Everybody say hi. Hi. And back to our beautiful mugs. So thank you for being here. Anybody learn anything new while you've been here in the terms of the Google for Education world?
Downstairs in the vendor hall, they have a vendor called Padcaster. Is that correct?
Podcaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's an all-in-one system to connect your iPad, and it has a teleprompter and a shotgun microphone and a couple other mics, and you can do some streaming video with that.
Phil, I haven't talked to them yet. I wonder if you could attach a Chromebook in there.
I don't know. How
Because
I
it has the
stabilization
stabilization stuff, right? To it.
Well, I have the kids hold it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go down there and check them out. I'm going to.
The one I saw was on a tripod.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Multiple cameras, multiple camera inputs, or just singles?
I think it's singles,
Okay.
but they had a wide variety of options to choose from.
Green screen? No.
Yep.
Good. I don't, one of the tasks that I am banned from doing while being on the iTech board is visiting the vendor hall traditionally, as if I'm down there too long, we won't have any vendors left.
And
You gotta keep
Phil
Carl
is the
out.
vendor
Yeah,
guy.
pretty much.
Carl has to stay away.
Phil's done a great job getting more vendors to the show.
Thank you.
Done very well. Good job,
Lance
Phil.
and Jackie also.
Everyone wants more Phil. Not sure why.
Wow.
It's the bald head.
Brutal. So anybody else see anything? So I had a question come up. I did
He asks us and then he starts to talk.
Exactly.
It's not nice.
I answered my own question.
Okay.
I
I'm next.
did a session this morning on the Amplified IT Gopher tools, and one question came up is under Chrome Gopher, and whether it was Chromebook Inventory or any other tool that you're using, is you can see a list of the last people that have accessed that Chromebook, and you also see the last session times, but nothing that correlates the two. So in other words, I can see that this person logged on, but I can't see when it was that they logged on. And for districts that aren't one-to-one, Josh Whitver asked me, he says, do you know of a way to be able to correlate this user was on at this time? And I said, I don't, but does anybody here?
Yeah, because it just shows a list of users that have logged on. How long is that list usually? I mean, does it go to 10?
I believe the list of users was as long as the last login sessions, the available sessions.
Yeah, so I think it only shows the list of users and then the last logged in time. So you could only correlate it to the last logged in user. right? Not a whole list of users.
Right, and his problem is he's a cart-based,
Right.
they're one-to-one, but cart-based so that they'll have, multiple kids logging onto the same Chromebook. And they want to see if Billy was logging in with Johnny's credentials on this Chromebook. We know he was on Chromebook 12 yesterday at noon, but of course he's not finding out about it until after the next class is logged in, so he can't tell, if this kid logged out multiple times. And of course, much as we'd like to say, all of our teachers don't keep an accurate record of which student had which Chromebook at which time. So, nobody's aware of anything. Anybody in the audience? Anybody else have a problem with that? See, this is what happens.
There have been,
Right now,
there have
yeah.
been, yeah, there have been a couple instances where that could have been useful information, but it hasn't ruined my life. And it hasn't been enough of a problem for me to figure out a way to log that somewhere. I mean, you could write a pretty easy custom extension that dumped it somewhere to Google Doc or something as simple as Google Doc or a spreadsheet. As soon as they log in and Chrome launches, it could dump the timestamp and a username somewheres. That'd be a pretty simple extension to write, but it hasn't been that much of a problem for me to write that extension.
Are there any third-party tools that do it? Like, is
That's
that a
fine.
function like in GoGuardian or GAT or any of those other tools?
It's not that I'm aware of in GoGuardian.
Okay.
Gap, I don't know, because I haven't looked since they went to the 4-pay model. I haven't looked into what, because they are designing a lot of new stuff in it. And it's an incredibly powerful tool, but I haven't played with it since they've updated it.
Okay. You talk about your new thing, Chad? Or are you distracted now with writing an extension?
Yeah, but I will. Hold on. I'll get distracted in a minute. So, hey, something that I found exciting, and I stumbled across it. So, I had to quickly create a presentation to fill in for a presenter that missed, but while I was doing that, I stumbled across something that's pretty cool. So, if you present a lot, so a lot of us as IT directors in some capacity have to do is we have to, a lot of times, at the beginning of the year or at mid-year PD, relay very similar amounts of information to different buildings at different levels throughout the district. So what I found was there's the ability in a Google slide deck now to skip this slide. So when you're preparing a slide deck and the slides are on the left side, if you right-click one of those slides, you can hide this slide, so when you're in presentation mode, it just skips that slide. Why would that be useful to us? Well, if you're presenting most of the same information to multiple groups, but certain pieces don't apply to, say, the elementary people, you could just skip that slide instead of saying, oh, this doesn't apply to you, we're going to click past it. Because then what are they thinking about? What do you just skip over? And then they stop listening, and then they're like me, and they start writing an extension during the podcast. So just skipping that slide can cause them to lose focus if they're anything like me. Because I'm going to be sitting there wondering, what was that? I couldn't quite read all that. And he skipped it. So you can hide it and skip it, so they never see it and never know what was there.
So in edit mode, when you skip a slide, does it indicate that you're skipping a slide?
It puts a little eyeball with a...
Okay.
So you could create one giant slide deck for your entire audience throughout the district, and then skip and not skip slides as you move between buildings at your leisure. That was exciting to me. And for presenters like us that go all over and present things, sometimes you want to skip stuff.
Yep.
This is old now, and you don't, it might come back, or whatever the case might be. The ability to skip a slide is pretty cool.
Well, so I do a GAM session, and I use the same slide deck, no matter how long that GAM session is, whether it's an all-day workshop or a 1-hour thing. And there's stuff that you can't get into 1 hour from 6.
Right.
If I could use that, then skip, because I like to use the same slide deck. That way people can come back and get to it, and they bookmark it instead of make a copy and go around, because that changes all the time.
Right.
So that's a really good idea. I'm pretty excited about it when you found it yesterday. It's pretty neat. The thing that I actually found as I was prepping my slide deck for tomorrow, one that I knew I was going to be doing, it was not, no, today, this afternoon. Yeah, this afternoon. Looking at the Android on Chrome deployment process and You know, that's still in beta. There's lots of bugs to get worked out of it yet, but it's getting closer and closer and closer. And one of the things that always gets asked relative to pushing out Android apps on Chrome is, how do I take them back? How do I uninstall the app? So previous to what I just found, you had to unauthorize the app, and then the only way to get the app off the device was to have your end user or grab the device, right-click on it, and uninstall.
Somebody is now finding their iPhone.
Whose phone is stolen? However, today, when I was going in and authorizing and unauthorizing apps, I got a new confirmation window, one that I'd never seen before, that says, warning, please note that unchecking allow installation will remove this application and all associated user data from your user's devices. Please click OK to confirm and proceed.
Did you mean to capitalize the N?
Stop proofreading my slide deck over my shoulder. You're heckling even before the session started.
I am.
Thanks, I appreciate that. But I was really, really excited for that, because one of the current shortcomings of Android on Chrome, and then I'll give away my whole session. If you guys can't come later today, just listen now. Is those apps are user-based, right? So if we all use the same Chromebook, and I install the app, then Chad installs the app, then Phil installs the app, then Lance installs the app, it's now installed 4 times on that device. And if it's a 100 meg app, you've used up 400 megs of space on this Chromebook. And then if there's updates, then I need to update it, he needs to update it, he's updates, whatever, right? So now, if I need to uninstall it, I can uninstall it all at once instead of one at a time. You can kind of save space that way. I know that there's gonna continue to be improvements. I know it would be super, super cool if they could ever get to the point where you could have a shared APK where all 4 users could have access to one install of an application, similar to a quote-unquote traditional computer. But I think that's going to take some significant reworking of those APKs, because that's not really how they're meant to exist. They're meant to exist per user on your devices. You think about your mobile phones and things like that.
So I wonder, with that new uninstallation, when uninstallation occurs, is it when the first user logs in, or does it occur when each of the individual users logs in and they get the new manifest?
I would assume it'd be based on Chrome policy, so it'd have to be, I didn't log in, you'd have to log in, and et cetera, for it to officially all go away.
So theoretically, you can still get stale stuff.
Yeah.
Especially on a cart-based system where
Yep.
the user logged in, got all these apps, never logs in again, all that space is going to stay stale until you remove the user probably. So, okay.
I guess the only solution is one-to-one with Chromebooks. Everybody gets their own device. It's
Absolutely.
the only way to solve
That's the way it should be.
it. Absolutely.
No carts. You didn't fix the end yet.
Still trying
did.
to work on the streaming because it's
I'll do
supposed to be
it.
going out and it's not.
Oh, I'm not too worried about it.
I kind of am. Otherwise, it's just these people here and they don't like us.
I have
Our
Alex,
real fans are out there.
I have Alex Wakeman from Go Guardian inquiring to her engineers if they can log the username and timestamp by machine. So we'll find out shortly.
All right.
It must be awesome to have important friends.
People who can get stuff done.
Yes.
They give us stuff, they answer my questions, it's awesome. Now, if you just get Monster to sponsor the podcast,
How many did you bring this?
I would be in heaven.
6 of them?
There was 4.
They'll get it through the morning. Don't worry.
It's all monster.
All right.
I'll be
So-
sure to keep the M facing our audience.
Let's talk about what happened 2 weeks ago. Since our last podcast here in Iowa, we had a nice little event happen in one of the schools in Iowa, where a text started going out to parents regarding safety issues concerning their students. It became very specific. It was directed. They still at this point just pay no attention to the loud noises of a building crumbling around you. Didn't know exactly where the data breach came from, but there was an apparent data breach on contact information, and it seemed fairly personal information. It put a scare into a lot of people, and we've talked about it on our side, what are we putting in place for security measures, but did anybody go the step of changing all of their user passwords inside your domain because of what may have happened?
I have not.
No.
Not yet.
Okay. So we know that, like I said, the one school was directly affected and for those of you that aren't aware of what happened, it was a school here in Iowa. the directive was the parents were getting texts that said your son or daughter will, it was threats against them directly, and it would say going to this school, and at that time, and they still aren't aware of where the data breach came from, and then a specific hacking group. Do you remember which one, Chad?
Dark Overlord.
Dark Overlord. Let's go ahead and see if we can upset them, because on the off chance they may listen to us, let's see if they can come after us. Karl from Ames.
No, we're in the news enough right now. Let's leave us alone.
They claim credit for it, and it just became a security feature. And one of the things that we've talked about on here before and can't ever, I think, in my opinion, stress enough is the need for good security. And two-factor security specifically is one of my favorites. But did anybody put anything in place specifically after what happened? Maybe you didn't change the user passwords, maybe you didn't look at your particular vulnerabilities, but did anybody at least turn that on?
Well, our security policy is live, you know, I mean, it's something we're constantly looking at, changing and updating. So, I mean, it does open your eyes a little bit more to what reality is out there and what could happen. So, I mean, we're always updating our security policy and looking at what we can do.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for the saying, never let a good crisis go to waste. You know, it's an opportunity for us to all kind of look back and reflect and see who has access to what data. And I think that actually goes beyond Google per se and what information we're storing in Google. Because there's a lot of, I would say, significantly more secure information that we all have to protect that may or may not be in our Google accounts. But talking to your users, because ultimately the biggest security risk to all of our networks is whom? The users.
The end user.
The end user. Because why am I going to work really hard to hack something when I can just ask you and you're going to give me your password?
Or call me and give me remote access.
And actually, to speak to that, Google just released a new security checkup for your user accounts. If you go to security.google.com or myaccount.google.com, there's a whole new process that walks you through what apps you gave third-party access to, the devices that you haven't logged into for a long time. It says, hey, you haven't logged into this Pixel for 197 days. Do you want me to disable your access to this device? Security activity, all sorts of different stuff. I just brought mine up. I have 23 issues found. Apparently I have some rather unsecure third-party access that I need to take care of currently. And they're easily, you can revoke access right away by just clicking the button right in that window. You can click remove access immediately from there. And what I'm finding in a lot of my less secure apps, they're apps that I've had installed for a long time and kind of forgot about. Maybe an extension I played with for a while, something I wanted to test out, and didn't really go too far with it. So I know personally I'm going to go through that. I'm going to tell my users about it and give them the opportunity to kind of look through stuff as well. Because ultimately I think our biggest protection against threats like that is education. Both educating our students, our teachers, and all of our staff as well.
That's, like I've said before, in our district, it's always been that when this happened, I sent out, we have for our student information system set up I don't know what you call it, notification to anybody who logs in. They'll get an email that says you just logged in on this device. And I said, if anybody got one of those, please let me know. We're looking at setting that two-factor up for that also, just for the sake of security. It is kind of painful the way they have it set up, but people, and then of course you start the scare where people get really like, oh wait, I think I got that email or something like that, and then they aren't able to answer you clearly, and they're really worried about it, and they don't want to be those sorts of leaks. Or if they did get it and they're afraid that they maybe have gotten phished, they don't want to tell you because they don't want to look silly. And I just try to tell them, it happens to the best of us, so at least let us know. Everybody else is looking at some sort of device.
Oh, I'm trying to fix an issue.
For a session later this afternoon. Trying to get his apps to push. I did hear from Alex at GoGuardian. That feature does not currently exist in admin. It sort of exists in their fleet product, but she highly suggests any admins out there that would like to see this feature where it timestamps every login on every device to put it into ideas.goguardian.com. They do listen to those ideas, and if you are a GoGuardian customer, go there and you can vote for the suggestions you feel useful. I'm a newer user of GoGuardian. I was waiting for some specific features before I could go with them, and they finally put those in place, and I've gone to ideas.goguardian.com quite a bit already and either voted for an option that was suggested or put in my own. So they do listen to that, and they base their new features on votes. So the more votes, the faster it gets done.
Can I vote multiple times?
I don't know.
I would like to stuff the ballot box for certain things.
Are you just gonna try? I'm asking Alex.
I'll let you ask.
She's gonna say lol, and then no, probably. She's typing back now. We don't have to wait though. What's next?
Kind of boring to watch ellipses
In
in
it?
your Hangout chat.
Well, and they don't even bounce anymore.
Oh,
They just turn green. They used to bounce.
Oh.
I was sad that day. Oh. Yeah, she says only once per person per feature.
Oh, I could create multiple accounts. I have a whole Google domain in my.
You have to log into your GoGuardian account.
Oh, I don't have many of those.
You're concentrating over there, Lance.
We're still not, it says I'm broadcasting, but I'm not broadcasting. It's not out there, but it shows that I am, and it's going to the right place, and everything's supposed to be in place, and
That's okay, Lance.
makes
okay,
sense.
Lance.
Well, I brought some toys I can talk about a little bit.
You can talk about one of our toys, and then we maybe do some Q&A.
Yeah, there you go. Well, recently.
Does it have anything to do with your nutcase?
You don't have to get it for it. Jeff, come on.
It's
Yeah,
good.
okay.
Good thing that wasn't streamed.
Well, anyways, our school district recently purchased Wii Video and soundtrack for our children from 3rd grade to seniors.
Did you get to explain everything too?
We did get to explain everything. I didn't bring any toys for
Wait,
explaining everything.
2 or
As
also?
well?
Also,
Oh,
Also,
gotcha.
part 1. And it's gone off really well. We've had a lot of students creating projects, and the one thing I noticed that the microphones on the Chromebooks aren't up to quality of what we would like to see on some of the.
You should have seen
Podcast.
Phil pre-podcast trying to get our audio just right.
Yeah, I know.
He's a little bit of a stickler. I can't say that word.
Stickler.
Stickler
There you go.
for that audio piece. So
So a couple products that we did a little investigating on was this Zoom H6. And this is a pretty neat little product. It's kind of a handheld device.
tricorder. It looks like a Star Trek
It does.
tricorder.
It also looks like it costs more than your entire annual license for Wii Video.
I think this
That's
was
so fancy.
$300
Okay.
to $400
Okay.
for this device, and it comes with a couple different microphones, and they're all stereo microphones. This one here is an omnidirectional stereo microphone. It comes with, I think, a directional stereo microphone.
So does anybody make a mono microphone anymore?
I don't know.
Okay.
So you have the option of 4 XLR inputs. So if you have microphones, it will do phantom power as well. And you can also plug in keyboards, guitars, basses, you know, the whole gamut of musical instruments that are electrical to this
So it's
device.
sort of like a mini mixing board right there.
Yeah, exactly what it is. And there is kind of a little
LCD.
Yeah, LCD of your gain display right there. It's a great little device. We will be plugging in the Procaster from Rode. It's a microphone for basically podcasts, and trying this out. This is brand new. We just got this a week ago, so we're gonna give this.
So you haven't tested them yet?
Well, I haven't tested this. I haven't tested the Rode Procaster, but Rode makes pretty good products. I have not had any bad luck with Rode products. They are a very good company. This I've been testing for the whole week, and it is phenomenal sound and the quality, the gain. I mean, it's a really good device. So you can store the data right here on an SD card. There is a line output, and you can control it with a PC or an iPad with USB.
So what type of activities would you use these particular tools for? I mean, like you're talking about WeVideo, you bought it for 3rd through 12th grade. I mean, we have WeVideo as well. We bought the same suite for all our middle school kids. And you know, the project that a kid turns in for a classroom teacher or even for our YouTube channel or whatever, he's like, yeah, it was created by a 13-year-old kid. It might not be professional quality, so I'm just curious what your target is for tools like that.
Well, we have a class like music tech,
Okay.
and so they will definitely dive deep into this with Audacity.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, yeah, we do a lot of live recording events of homecoming, prom, graduation. So you can mix it all right here with that. The students will be able to do that, or even basketball games. You do all that right there. So you can have multiple microphones come in. You can have a crowd microphone as well. Kind of give you the mix of the environment.
Okay. Do your kids have you pushed out the WeVideo Android app yet to any of your kids?
Yes.
Which one do they like using better?
They like the
app or the web interface?
The web interface.
They like the web interface better?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's I think the options to be able to move around. I don't know. They seem like it ran a little bit quicker. Are you noticing something different?
So my biggest thing is what I found is the kids like to collect the video using the Android app because it's easier to get it to switch back and forth between the cameras. Because there's a little toggle right there, so it's world-facing camera. Now it's the other camera, so it's easy. And then they'll edit the video through the web interface because if you've done any video editing, what I really want to do is I want to look at the younger kids that haven't done any video editing previously to see which one they like better. Because if you've done any video editing previously, the web interface for WeVideo makes sense. Like you're going to stack your tracks. Nope, I need another track. I need another track. I need this, right? Whereas the app, it's more like it was designed to be edited on a mobile device, right? So you're kind of sticking things together more so than layering things. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've seen. Because right now, it's kind of super annoying to change the world-facing camera. In fact, it's not possible through WeVideo's web interface right now. You actually have to go to the settings.
Settings.
Yeah.
Fired up, right?
Yep. And I do have an extension that I wrote that I'm testing with some of my kids that do that.
So they don't have to go to settings.
Correct. But it's still a little bit buggy, so it's just for my guinea pigs right now.
We can take audience questions. Anybody have any questions?
Have you a reason you guys came in here?
Do you guys have to deal with HIPAA compliance at all, Google? I'm a superintendent slash a village project where we need the community HIPAA compliant so they can share documents with parents. So I did some research on that, and it's kind of a lot of hoops to jump through, and I didn't really know how to approach the question, can we do this that way? So we ended up doing it, but have you guys seen anything like that?
So the question was about HIPAA compliance, and HIPAA compliance is going to deal more with like health information and things like that.
Yep.
So there's another whole set of requirements relative to encrypted exchange and what information is where and who has access to what. It's kind of the same level of stuff that our hospitals and things are held to. I know that there are lots of entities that do use Google domains for lots of information that is both HIPAA and FERPA requirement or compatible. I personally haven't done anything with that type of protected information. I know that's something that there might be out there on Google's security documents. The one thing to kind of kick back to what Lance was talking about too is Google's security budget is way bigger than any of our security budgets. And so I would say it wouldn't be much trouble to make sure it met the requirements if it doesn't already. But I don't know if you guys done anything like that at all.
We haven't had anybody ask us about HIPAA, but again, what did they mention? What in particular they were worried about?
So they're They were doing these.
What do you share?
That's what I don't get. What do you have in their account information that falls under
It was
HIPAA?
a project where they're working with this institution out of Michigan for brain screening. They're trying to reduce ADHD, I guess. And so they do these tests and whatnot, and they see the progress and all that. But the company they're working with in Michigan requires that information to be shared into the HIPAA protocols. So the rep from Michigan and the superintendent wondered if can we share this via Google. And so then I go into Google and yeah, there's HIPAA compliance procedures that can be set up. You know, I just created a separate OU for this group, or a separate group, I guess, with all this stuff turned off, and we had to check these boxes and sign these papers, and that, you know, that made it compliant, I guess, but I don't know if anybody had ever done that, or if
So,
that was.
Can we just really dig a little deeper? When you set that OU, did you then make separate user accounts for
Yep.
those people that were going to do that in
Yep.
that OU?
And they have to
So it
sign
didn't break
this.
their
Right.
one?
They have to sign into that account to share these.
To share the docs.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
So you turn off stuff like offline access and.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yep.
weird stuff. YouTube had to go off. It's really basic, stripped down.
You mean they don't want private medical information blasted out on YouTube?
Right. Exactly. Anyway, there's a whole, not tutorial, but guide for it. It's do this and this and this and this and this and this and this.
I found a link to it.
Yeah, and sign these and get your superintendent or your whoever to agree to this, and anyway. So.
Is that where it's the superintendent or designee?
Right, yeah.
And it's
exactly.
usually the
I
person
signed it
asking,
for him.
congratulations,
Right.
you're the
And I
designee.
have the email that says, are you okay with me signing this? And I said, yes, and I kept that. This isn't coming back on me.
It's only a 22-page document, right? By by
Oh,
Google.
that's nice and short.
The table of contents is clickable. It walks you right through. No big deal.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I personally have never had anything about HIPAA.
Neither had I.
Yeah, no, that's something new. But it's good to know that the document exists, and it's quite literally click by click.
Right.
Here's where you need to go and
Right.
click these things. So if anyone comes across that, that's good information to have.
Thank you, good question.
Well, sorry.
No, that's all
sorry,
right.
Sorry, that's great.
It's great.
Yeah, be sorry, you had a question.
We never get questions.
Otherwise, we'd have dead
so
air.
We're
Thanks,
quite
Brandon.
thankful afterward. It's usually crickets.
That's usually what happens, you present to IT people, and they just want us to, dance monkey voice.
Yeah, right.
So, see now when Devin has an audience, and they ask for audience questions, Devin Schoening's out in the audience here, he's from Dad's and Ed podcast, boy, they get questions.
Oh, yeah.
Both of their viewers ask all the time.
And they're paid quite handsomely.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Ooh, we could
We
pay
could pay.
questioners.
Pay plants in the audience.
Have a guffaw, if you will.
There you go. We need to get a soundboard though, so we can actually play crickets or, no,
Can we
no.
jack one of those in? There's online ones. Students use them all the time in class.
This is true. I'm updating my Chrome
I
OS.
see. You're updating your
So
Chrome.
now that we're into the school year,
Towards the end.
a good month and a half here, anybody buy new stuff over the summer that just turned out to be utter crap or turned out to be awesome? You have utter crap or you want
No, I didn't buy anything in scrap.
Oh.
So I gotta say, so we bought, for our fifth graders, for our fourth graders and our third graders, we went with the,
It's all new.
the Lenovo N23. And I do have to say, I was scared because it has the twistable camera on the top and had to have a repair. I played with one of them, was able to open it up. I found it was easy to open up, not as easy as my Dell's, but I could open it up. Purchased the screens ahead of time, so I got spare screens, had a couple of spare parts. I didn't want to order a whole bunch in return. I'm totally going to jinx myself here. I know I am. I have had 0 issues in terms of needing repairs. I've had one where the mouse quit working, I sent it in, they fixed it, it's still under warranty. But in terms of actual repairs that I needed to do,
That was for what model?
the Yoga, or not the Yoga, the Lenovo N23. We did the Yoga, the N23 Yogas for second grade, but just the standard N23 for third, fourth, and fifth. And I'm just keeping my fingers crossed because I haven't had this far in it. And even on my Dells, we've had students bring stuff in, the older kids. And I was thinking, definitely gonna have issues, and I haven't. And
So I'm on the opposite side of that. So we bought some ASUS C2, what was it, to the new flip, Android compatible, and it is in pop. I can't remember the model number
I'll
now.
find it later.
Something SA at the end, anyway. Impossible to get any parts, and kids break screens, and you can't get them anywhere. We've searched high and low, we've contacted ASUS. Coming soon is all we get. So, some frustration. I'm glad I bought the amount of extra devices that we have. I mean, it's not been rampant or anything, but we are dwindling. You know, we have new kids coming in, which we then have to issue a device from the spare fleet, and we are running quite low, so we are awaiting parts. And everything just says coming soon, and no one can get these things. So, a bit of a frustration there for anyone out in the audience that might have those same Chromebooks and has a part vendor that they'd like to share. My ears are wide open, but we've looked pretty well ourselves, and no one can get them yet. So, and some of it's been warranty stuff, you know, bad mobiles, it happens. DOAs with a new device happens. So, we've sent them in, but they have yet to return. So, we're kind of wondering if ASUS themselves can't get the parts to fix their own crap. Not crap. It's good stuff. It just happens. It's really not crap. Yeah. It really is good stuff, and they are quite durable. But damage does happen in extreme.
Yeah, sorry, evidently I clicked around enough and we're live.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome.
Good job, Lance.
Yay, Lance.
You know, kids get angry and punch screens. It's happened a few times, and earbuds closed in them. I mean, no screen is going to be safe from something like that. So,
They're safe from my punches.
yeah.
You've never seen me punch, but.
Right. So that's a bit of a frustration for us right now, is the lack of part availability for those new models.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Speaking of new models, did you guys see Google announced their new fancy, what they call it, the Pixel Book? The new Chromebook?
Yes.
It can be yours for a measly $1,600.
And pimped out.
Yeah, at
well
almost
over
a two.
2,000.
And it comes with a Pixel Pencil for another $99.
Yep.
Nice.
I'm not sure who the target audience is for a $2,000 Chromebook. It's definitely not me. But if Google would like to give me one to play around with and test for them, I would gladly do that.
Or all of us.
Yeah,
We'd
no.
be happy to review it
Just
on the
me.
podcast.
And pimp it out.
I don't think that's going to be the next one-to-one
Yeah,
device for
The ones that
school.
say
You don't think
yes.
education's
There
the
you go.
market?
Keep pimping
No, I really don't think so.
If you remember when they first came out with the Pixel, it was $1,000. And I think the big
That's it?
selling point at the time was kind of the impetus to get people to go was the 1 gig of storage in your drive folder at the time,
Right.
which of course is now a moot point, or as Joey always said, moo point.
It's Cal's opinion. Nobody cares.
Exactly. And these two are looking at it.
You can't get them yet. It's just a wait list.
Correct. Are you trying to build one?
Yeah.
What do you need an i7 processor for in a Chromebook? 512 gig or
Oh, yeah. 16 gig of RAM.
16 gig of RAM.
512 SSD.
Maybe you're doing some really fancy stuff on Wii Video.
I can play Angry Birds really quickly.
Although the processing doesn't happen locally, so it will load web pages really fast and run JavaScript really fast.
Will it run Flash really fast? Someday we'll live in a post-Flash world.
HTML5 only beautifulness of an existence. Hey, while we have an awkward pause here, I'm going to do a shout out to Ruckus and Brocade. They again provide us some solid Wi-Fi for our conference this year, and knock on wood, this has been the best year yet, I think, as far as the Wi-Fi goes.
No complaints.
Always a couple of hiccups. For those of you that don't know, we fire up our own Wi-Fi network every year for this conference. We come on Saturday, sometimes not until Sunday, depends on what other events are going on. And we build a complete network in about half a day, and then we tear it all back down in less than an hour once the conference ends, which is a little bit sad. You work hard for half a day, build this thing, and then it all comes crashing down in less than an hour, or really depending on how many monsters I've had today.
Or how fast you
And
can the
rush-
cables.
Yeah.
Now they're all fiber, so it might take a little longer.
But Ruckus, I mean, if you're going one-to-one and need some robust Wi-Fi, Ruckus is good stuff, and it's easy to manage and easy to set up. And they've since been bought by Brocade, who is also a great switch vendor. They have good stuff too. So we appreciate their willingness to support iTech and let us use their stuff for this conference.
How many APs do you put up?
I think we have 26 covering the entire event center, and we probably wouldn't need that many. So an interesting statistic during yesterday's keynote, which is the most populated venue during the conference, the whole upper hall is basically run off of 4 Ruckus APs, R710s, and they had 263 clients on an individual access point and saw no degradation in throughput through that access point, which is, if you know anything about Wi-Fi, is pretty friggin' impressive. It was incredible. Pretty good stuff. The limit we usually hit with their Wi-Fi is the pipe coming into the building is too slow. So
What are we at this year?
we're not going to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, because then, yep, never mind.
We can't talk about that.
Yep, gonna dress you up and not take you to the prom, folks. That's how I roll. I don't know why we're not talking about it.
We're not.
Top secret.
We're not going to
Okay.
talk about that.
Super secret sauce.
I'll talk about it after the camera's on. but we're not talking
No, we're
about
not recording anyways. I turned it.
You're
it started
recording?
out- No,
I'm
it-
recording.
you son of a gun.
And
Well,
they
you
are,
are
there's
supposed
the
to be
camera
recording.
right there.
You're recording.
That's not
This is a
recording.
podcast.
That's,
I hope you're
no,
recording.
the one
No,
right
I'm not
there.
recording. It didn't
With-
record.
No,
I
the
told
one
you
with the
stream wasn't
red light
working.
on,
It's
right
not
there.
recording at all.
With the WCTV child behind it. Excuse
Oh,
me, young
man.
adult.
So we're gonna have to
I'm
grab
gonna
that
have to ask them
footage so
for
we
the
can post
footage,
it.
put it up on YouTube. It's not gonna automatically be there.
You're just gonna have to get the footage for them. It'll be fine. You can post all of that.
We were getting a loop on the stream too, and they said it was hilarious. It just kept like, we ended up just talking more than we already do, talking over each other.
Oh, we do that a lot.
I'm just frustrated because everything is set in the default. I opened it up. It's worked every other time, but it didn't work here.
Yeah.
I'm
And
just
it's gotta
not
be
sure
me.
why we let
No, I
Lance
can't-
run the podcast.
I'm not sure why either.
If
None of you
Luvia happens.
jackwagons take the time to do it.
Did anybody else have a question?
I'll
We're
just
running up on
show
time. And we wanted to make sure we gave you guys the opportunity because you did come and listen to us sit here.
And if you don't have a question, I'm going to go to my tips and
Okay.
tricks if there's no questions. Because I'm pretty,
Perfect.
I can't find the word right now.
Amped up
But
on
I
Lester.
will. No,
Oh.
After you.
no, I'm waiting for questions. I was singing
I have one.
ABCs
All
twice.
right.
Yes.
Jim, well,
Will
yeah.
Chad share his extension that he writes to log the user?
Well, I'm hoping GoGuardian beats me to it, but if I do write it, like I said, it hasn't been that big of an issue for me, but yeah, if I write something, I'll share it.
Every once in a while, like if a Chromebook goes missing,
Yeah,
we think maybe somebody else picked it up and logged in. And
sure.
that would be handy to tell.
GoGuardian does have the handy geolocator capability in their system for when something goes missing. It's usually in someone's locker or still at the lunch table, but
Mhm.
it is handy. Any other questions?
What do you use for a wireless survey?
See?
Sorry.
I was halfway through my second ABC.
This is my last one.
no, that's fine, that's fine.
Wireless survey tool, when you said like Wi-Fi network.
Yeah, what?
What software do you use for your wireless survey?
Whatever comes up first on Google.
Okay.
And whatever device, because they're different per device. So whatever devices are in my hand,
Okay.
I download something quick. NetStats I was using yesterday on my PC, I think. That was a pretty good one. If I had maps, I could have done like a real site survey, even in the free version. Had the ability to upload the maps and place the APs and then walk around and it would map everything out for you, even right in the free version. So that would have been cool. I didn't take the time. I just walked around and looked at signal strength and channel overlap and things like that. The most common tool I use is my phone and Wi-Fi
Fair
analyzer.
enough.
Just for simple, everyday stuff, just look at channel overlap. I used it for like 2.5 hours the other day at our elementary school. We were having a weird issue where, one of the great things about Ruckus is you turn them on auto and it auto channelizes things, right? But we were having a weird issue with channel overlap on 2.4 in our elementary building. And I used Wi-Fi analyzer to figure it out. It wasn't an AP, something else blasting traffic on that channel. So, and it was messing with the auto channelization. So we'll fix that when I get back. Yeah, I don't get too complex unless I have to. And if you put the maps, I'm going to stick with Ruckus because that's what we have, but you can put maps in Ruckus too, and it auto does. I mean, you place the APs where they go, and it gives you a heat map right in the system. It's really cool. They have right on the dashboard now is they're sort of globalizing it. There's new cloud-based controllers. They're trying to unify the interface for everything. So there's cloud-based controllers where you can have venues all over the world. So they have a Google map when you first log into the dashboard now that shows all of your venues. Most of us would have one, but it zooms into the biggest range that includes all your venues. So then you can zoom in and see all the AP locations and heat maps and all that. It's pretty cool. So for all you Google admin people, since this is the GAF admin podcast, I think I had the opportunity yesterday to do a forums session, just sort of impromptu, because Karl volunteered me at a board meeting.
I shared my slide deck.
You did, he helped. And so did Brian. I stole your screenshots, so I didn't have to make them myself. One of the most underutilized options in Google Forms that can help IT people specifically build workflows out utilizing Google Forms and spreadsheets is the pre-filled form URL. That thing can do magic when you're doing workflows.
Like Joe Cole magic?
No,
Oh,
no, not like that. Nerdy magic.
because that was fantastic.
So if any of you haven't looked at using the pre-filled form URL in Google Forms to pre-populate data from a spreadsheet into a form, you need to look at that. In our district, we've pretty much Googleized all the old pre-copy forms that everyone filled out for leave requests, transportation requests, all kinds of requests that had to get approval. We've Googleized all that using pre-filled forms. And so you just concatenate the pre-filled form URL inside of a spreadsheet that produces a link with the pre-filled form data from the spreadsheet. So when someone clicks that link, most of the information is filled in and they just have to click approve or deny or whatever. All the information from the request that was from the original form is in the new approval form. It is a slick way to make workflows, and I feel it's very underutilized. If you can dream a little bit and be a little bit creative with this stuff, you can do amazing things. We check in Chromebooks using pre-filled forms with all the student data. It has the student's first name, last name, which is how we find them, their grade, their homeroom teacher, if they're in the middle school, and then the serial number and machine information. It also pulls parental contact email. In case they owe me money, it will auto formula an email to the parents saying you owe me $85 for whatever part that was broken at check-in. So hugely powerful. We can check in Chromebooks. We did sort of a late switch at our high school this year. They started the year with old Chromebooks. They got new Chromebooks midway through, and we were checking in, swapping laptops. So checking the old ones for damage, asking them a couple questions, well under a minute per Chromebook. So it works really slick. We ask them their name first. We type that into a Command F, find their name, find the thing, click the thing. All the normal damage things are questions in the form, all defaulted to no. All we have to do is change to yes if there's something wrong and click submit, and then all the magic happens on the back side to send emails if they owe me money, collect damage statistics so I can order parts for parts that need to be replaced on the ones coming in because they were going to be repurposed elsewhere. all done with pre-filled form URLs and a little bit of spreadsheet magic. It is quite useful if you have a little bit of creativity inside of you.
And how do you do it?
It's magic, I just said.
Yeah, I get that part. It's the
Okay, so for those of you that don't know this exists, and a lot of people don't even know it exists, when you're inside of a Google form in the 3 dots menu, there is a Get Pre-Filled URL button. And that takes you to the Google form, and you fill in the questions, and you click Submit, but instead of submitting it, it gives you a link to the pre-filled form containing the data you just entered. And what you do is you take that and paste it into a spreadsheet with the data you want to pre-populate, and then concatenate the data you want to pre-populate in, replacing the data that you just filled into the form. If you want to know more, you'd have to come to one of my workshops.
It really does, visually, it makes more sense if you're seeing what he's doing than trying to follow along. Just,
With me doing this,
yes, as wonderful as Chad is, after 3 monsters, sometimes he gets a little,
it just gets, people make, because I get goosebumps when I start telling a room full of people about this, and I tell them that every time because I'm seriously getting goosebumps when I start talking about this stuff, because it's so powerful. Absolutely powerful. We use it in a simpler form for student check-in and check-out. You know how many times kids come and go during the day, and they can never figure out the paper form? Like, they don't know what time it is. They can't read the analog clock on the wall. With a Googleized version, the timestamp is done for them. All they have to know is their name, which we know is sometimes a struggle as well, but all they have to know is their name. They find themselves, they click check in or check out, also sometimes needs a question. Am I coming or am I going? Am I checking into the world or out from the outside?
You just confused me with that.
No, that's how
sounds like home.
I know,
How
I'm
can you get in and out backwards? That's not, the only way I can get it backwards is if I'm checking into the outside world or out from the outside.
that was from home.
What device do you use to
Come out
do
from the
your
end.
check-in stuff?
Excuse me?
What device do you use for your
A
check-in?
Chromebook, because right now. We're in the process of upgrading some equipment in the kindergarten who had ASUS flips, and eventually it will be a tabletized flip sitting on the counter like the old piece of paper used to be, if that makes sense. And it will be attached somehow. Right now it's just a Chromebook sitting there, but once I have the device I want, it'll be attached, and that will be the permanent check-in, check-out system. It currently is sitting on top of an awesome table, which costs money if you go over their limit. So the kid literally searches for their name and clicks check in, check out. It populates a pre-filled form with their name. When they click submit, the timestamp is there. The other crucial piece of information is why they're leaving, which I've watered down to a short list of choices. There is an other, and I argued against that because I like to manipulate the data once it's in, and having a list of choices instead of letting them type their choice makes data manipulation way easier. But we did leave them the choice for an other. But there's a list of 5 things that most, based on the paper forms, most of the reasons fit in. But they really insisted that I have an other just in case something weird happened.
Oh, we're at 12:10 here, and I think lunch is at
Now.
12:15.
I get excited and I can't stop talking about this.
That's
This really
right.
is an underutilized feature.
We could get super nerdy and do an entire podcast just on fun spreadsheet stuff.
Oh.
That would be way fun. Maybe just for Chad and I, but
But for everybody else, we'll let you go to lunch. So, until next time, when Lance can totally mess up another recording of the GSFE Admins podcast, thanks for coming.
Goodbye.
Good thing I hit record. Zoom.